Hey, how's everybody doing? This is JJ from Deluxe Vehicle Detailing and Paint Correction here in beautiful Terra Verde, Florida. I am taking on a new project for me. This is something as a detailer I haven't come across before. However, this beautiful Necky ocean-going kayak, a sit-on, kind of a almost sit in, kind of in between, but it's got a little deep well for the seat right here. I'm going to, on this part 2 video, again, if you're catching me on part 2, I will put these videos up in reverse order. Go to part 1, hit the autoplay control on YouTube, or perhaps another form of media that you're watching this on. As I am branching out into other things. But anyway, regardless of that, just go to 1. I will upload them in reverse order, hit the autoplay, and that way you can catch the whole thing if you, are coming into this in the middle. Anyway, so this is pretty much a kayak restoration. I am used to doing, automobile, motorcycle, and some boat work as well as far as restoration goes. This is my first time working on, I think it's called HDPE2 plastic, and this is a plastic kayak. It is approximately from 2003. It's 17 years old. It's got wear and tear. And so I am in the process of, in part 1, I showed you my setup for the cleaning process. If you just watched that video, you'll see that the kayak is much more beautiful now, much more clean. Give you some viewage just from the top here, right? Came out nice. All those mold stains. I will tell you, actually forgive me as I took some notes on day 1, and I've got those notes right with me. Bear with me for just one moment. Maybe those notes didn't make it with me. Oh, I don't know. They might be on my desk at home. Really sorry about that. So anyway, I have put together an order with topkayak.net. The owner there, Tom, I believe I gave a shout out on number 1. So I'm kind of putting this order together of how many pieces and parts of things I'm going to need to do this job. That's not really so important at the moment, but my client had quite a few replacement parts, and so I needed to kind of go through everything and just get that, he's got some of these, nylon type cleats. I'm not sure if that's even what they're called. Bring you in here. Kayak nylon, I don't know what that word is supposed to be. Something rivets for kayaks, made in China, of course, but you can rivet these in. I've got a number of straps. These are all in the 1-inch black variety. Got some miscellaneous ropes and things. And I'm just going to take you from the beginning here. So we're going to do things like, change out this plug. You need to know whether you have a coarse fitting or a fine fitting on this. And the coarse have these, I want to say kind of beveled out or pointy on the screw thread. The other one is much more square, and that's known as a coarse. So this is the fine. You want to decide whether you're going to drill these rivets out and replace all of this. You have to remember, if you're replacing rivets with screws, like most of this has been done, look at the extreme length to get to this. Now I know that my hand is not a good indicator in this moment, but that is probably 2.5 feet from when you can access this through the hatch, maybe even a little further, closer to 3 feet. If you look all the way back, well, how are you going to get in there and get, if you're going to replace things like these have been replaced with stainless screws. Everything used to have rivets in aluminum like this. So anyway, these are things to consider. Are you going to be able to reach up and get, this is a stainless cleat that has been replaced sometimes in the lifetime, and they put a very generic handle at topkayak.net. They have, got that right? It is Top Kayak. Let me look at my notes. Yeah, topkayak.net. Here's the phone number. You can call the office, and I will say that Tom, the owner, is extremely knowledgeable, really great guy. So, we discovered that this had been glued. You might have a similar problem to this, so we need to replace, obviously, both of these rails, which control the rudder back and forth. The owner had some handles. We're going to see if we can, these handles weren't really made to fit. These were made to go into an indentation right there and fit into this. These ones are a little different. There is a slight indentation. This may work, this may not. Again, access point, right? We've got to be able to go through the hatch, which we're going to be able to. Here is my professional riveter kit. Again, this is the owner had this in stock. I personally have never done any riveting through plastic, only through metal, but it's basically the same concept. Whoops, I think I might have taken a picture there. Anyway, we're going to replace the roping. This controls the rudder so that if you want to have your rudder be pulled up and put into the slot back there, you can simply pull this rope and then cleat it off in this cleat grip. We're going to replace this cleat grip on the other side. It's cracked. I would highly suggest if your older kayak has had replacements and things are now with screws or bolts instead of the rivets because they were removed, PB Blaster could be your best friend. I personally am going to cut a piece of sponge material, soak it in some PB Blaster, and then on the underside of the kayak, get to where the nut is. They're going to look like this when you take things off, and so you can see that you've got some rust and corrosion. There could be some small little gaskets put in there, some rubber. Here's the cleat I took off. This one goes actually through this controller, which controls the back and forth motion of the rudder. And so these are attached to the foot pedals. You can see a little bit of movement in the rope there. Sorry, I'm kind of jiggly. I actually forgot my holder for the camera, so I just have to do this by hand. This video quality, as most of my videos, is going to be probably subpar, but that's the way it goes sometimes. You're going to definitely want to have, these happen to be 3/8 on the nut holding. So you are going to want to have probably a box wrench. You're going to want to have a socket tool. You're going to maybe, these are at Harbor Freight. You get all 3 sizes, 1/4, 3/8, and half, I think for like 10, 15 bucks. And that way, if you're in a tight spot underneath the kayak and can just hold this in place while you take your screwdriver and come in here through the screw, you'll be in good shape. Or maybe likewise, if you're just going to drill the rivets out in your kayak and go with stainless steel hardware and go with these screws, then you'll be fine. And combination of things, just have things on order. This, as I was getting things together, was my idea. This is a torque wrench, right? You can see the torque numbers. So I figured if I torque this all the way up to a pretty high poundage, it would allow me the longest reach to get up inside these hard to reach areas up underneath the kayak, get this on a nut, hold it steady while maybe myself, maybe the owner then goes and does the driving of the threads from the top side. So I can see that myself might be in a very, very tight angle reaching all the way up with this tool, and then someone else could come and take these out. Most of these have been replaced. This is a stretch cord for creating a nice look to the kayak, so it's a storage area. I've also got these holes that go straight through. Is this just for drainage, or do we want to put plugs in this? This is something I'm actually going to be contacting Tom about. I'm also going to be doing some beautification on this old, tired, beat up striping on the kayak. I've done some work on this side, and going back to part 1, I used Goof Off Professional Strength. I used Crud Cutter. I used a heat gun. I used my steamer with a very aggressive brush head on the steamer, trying to remove this. And I actually went all the way up here and with the adhesive remover, and I was not budging this at all. If in the perfect world, I would have a racer wheel on either a drill head or perhaps even a rotary. I think they're about 15 bucks on Amazon right now. I know 3M carries them and a bunch of knockoff brands as well. But an eraser wheel goes onto basically a drill head and will just strip this off quite easily. I had one. I could not find my eraser wheel, and they are dated because they're soft rubber and type material, and they only last for so long. So I think I hit my date, and I think I threw it out. But what I came up with, and I'm going to show you just this little demonstration. So this is your standard Dremel, right? And I have a 120 grit. Let me get that in the right direction here. I've got a 120 grit. I believe they call this a flap wheel, but this just goes right onto the Dremel. Well, the nice thing about this is there is a ridge. See, I'm hitting this on the top of it. Now I'm hitting this on the bottom. This is a little ridge made specifically to have this striping in. Well, my client happened to have, because this was a project for a family member, and he started to get on this project a little while back and didn't complete it, but he bought some things. So this is some really nice striping that you also may want to grab if you're coming across this project yourself. And this is what he's got. This is Pro Stripe, and this is OEM approved professional quality cast vinyl, premium. So he's got 150 feet of this. I only need probably 28, maybe with the bow in the kayak. As you can see, it kind of bows out. So probably, even though the kayak is 14 feet, it's probably a little bit more than that. So just wanted to give you, the camera's having a hard time focusing here. But anyway, it's 1/2 inch, and I am going to take all this off. And I thought, the adhesive removers really weren't doing the trick for me. It didn't really soften it. It didn't really help me out as I was trying to scrape, and I was trying to, I thought the heat gun might be the way to go, and that wasn't really working. And so watch how quick and easy this is. So easy little demonstration there, right? I am having a tough time, I guess, reaching this. This is a pretty thick beveled edge where this tape line, like I said, there's one on the top and there's one on the bottom. So anyway, this is, you know, just what you might be experiencing if you're watching this video because you want to restore, you know, an older, maybe kind of weather beaten, a little bit neglected plastic kayak, and you want to change things out. Stay with me for part 3, and we will get this thing looking as good as possible and fix some of these items. Like you might have a 4-inch rear hatch with the guides that control the up and down mechanism of the rudder. And so we're going to be replacing that too. But again, look at that long distance. How am I going to get to the back of these bolts and be able to replace things up in here like this rudder stopper, which stops it from going too far when it's in the down position? So these are things that I'm going to be addressing, and I have a feeling that if I can get this complete replacement, I am going to just break and or saw through this hatch, which probably will be quite difficult, so that I can have access to these areas and address these areas, and then lastly put the hatch back in. So there's a little bit of a you know, corresponding order to things that you have to think ahead, like a game of chess or anything, and figure out your strategy of getting everything back together. So if you've gained any good tips from this video at 17 minutes right now, please give me the thumbs up. Give me the like, hit the notification bell. Of course, please subscribe, share this video to other, you know, kayakers in your world. I imagine if you're watching this, you're probably big into, you know, kayak restoration and whatnot. We're talking about maybe doing a complete sanding job, compound buff, maybe prep this, maybe even do a coating on this kayak. So stay with me, and I will eventually put these all together out at the same time when I complete this project, and you will be all up to snuff with me. Okay, thanks for being with me. Again, enjoy making your vehicles beautiful. I'll see you on the flip side.